Welcome to Moonstone Mountaineer. My name is Gina and I'll be your guide today. In today's video, we're going to be discussing Mount Baldy in Southern California. When people think of Mount Baldy, they usually picture the summit hike, but this whole area is so much more than that. There are waterfalls, shaded forest trails, quiet river spots, and even a tiny mountain town tucked up in that canyon. But before you head up there are a few things you should know, because this area can be a little confusing if it's your first time. Okay, let's talk about passes, because this is something you definitely want to figure out before you get up there. Most of the trailheads, pullouts, and picnic areas around Mount Baldy require what's called a National Forest Adventure Pass. It's super simple. You can get a day pass for about $5, or an annual pass for about $30, which is honestly worth it if you plan on coming back even a couple times. The easiest way to get it is online ahead of time through the U.S. Forest Service website. You can print it at home and just place it on your dashboard. Just a heads up, if you drive up without a pass, it can actually be really hard to get one once you're already up there. Most places down the mountain like Dick's Sporting Goods, Big 5, or REI will have them, but up there, your only reliable option is the Mount Baldy Lodge, and they don't open until 11 on weekdays. If you're a morning hiker, you do not want to have to turn around just to get a pass and go all the way down the mountain. The Visitor Center, which is only open on weekends, has even sparser hours, and again, they only open at 11 a.m. If you plan on visiting national parks or federal lands more often, another option for you would be the Interagency Pass, also known as the America the Beautiful Pass. It's about $80 for the year, and it covers entrance fees at national parks and national recreation sites. And it works here at Mount Baldy too, so you wouldn't need a separate adventure pass. You can get it online through the National Park Service website or in person at national park entrances, some visitor centers, and even a few outdoor retailers. Keep in mind you will need to display your pass physically, whether that means that you print out the digital pass that you bought online, or if you purchase a physical card, which could take a couple weeks to ship. Moving on, one of the most important things that you can do before heading up to Mount Baldy would be to check current road conditions, trail conditions, and the weather. Such a simple step, but it could save your life. Never underestimate Mother Nature. Even if it's warm and sunny down in the city, it can be significantly colder, windier, or even icy up in the mountain, especially at higher elevations around Mount San Antonio. For trails, you can check for alerts through the U.S. Forest Service website, especially for closures or fire restrictions. In order to have a fire, you must have a permit, which I will be going over later in this video. For roads, and this is a big one, Mount Baldy Road is beautiful, but it's also narrow, winding, and has a lot of sharp turns. Something a lot of people don't know, or maybe they forget, is that once you're actually on the mountain, you can tune into a local radio station that shares updates, warnings, and important info about the area. Sometimes they'll mention things like road conditions, closures, or general safety reminders. This is a common practice for federal recreation areas to utilize emergency radio stations. For the Mount Baldy region of the Angeles National Forest, that radio station is going to be 1610 AM. There will be a sign at the bottom of the mountain reminding you of this radio station as you drive in. Remember to take those sharp turns slowly, watch for other cars, and use lower gears when you're driving downhill. Not only could you get into a dangerous crash if you drive recklessly downhill and don't engine brake, riding your brakes the whole way down can actually overheat them, especially on long, steep sections like this. And trust me, you do not want that. For the weather, I like to use the National Weather Service, and it's always a good rule of thumb to continuously check the weather all the way up until you're starting your hike, because conditions have been known to change rapidly on Mount Baldy and surrounding areas. To sum it up, before you go, check trail conditions, check weather at elevation, be aware of any closures, and once you're up there, use that radio station and take the driving seriously. A quick side quip about this area in general, it's beautiful, but it's not completely beginner-proof. Even short trails can be rocky, uneven, or have elevation gain. Be prepared by wearing good shoes, bring more water than you think you need, and just be aware of your surroundings. Cell service can also be really spotty up there, so I wouldn't rely on it at all. So now that you know how to prepare and what to expect before you even get there, I'm going to show you some of the best spots in the Mount Baldy area, from popular hikes to easy access river spots and scenic pullouts you might otherwise drive right past. Starting off with the hikes, easily the most popular is going to be Icehouse Canyon. This is a really beautiful shaded trail that follows a creek up through the canyon, and it's especially nice in the summer when everything else feels hot and exposed. You'll get a mix of forest, running water depending on the season, and some really pretty mountain views as you climb. Icehouse Canyon is about 7 to 8 miles round trip if you go all the way to the Icehouse Saddle, with around 2,500 to 3,000 feet of elevation gain, so I'd rate it as moderate to hard depending on how far you go, but you can always turn it into a shorter, easier hike if you just explore the lower canyon, which is oftentimes what most people do. Keep in mind that the parking here fills up really fast, especially on weekends and holidays. This can honestly be said for the entire area, however, this is what I would consider the most popular hike, so just be prepared for that. Next, let's move on to the Baldy Notch scenic area. If you're not trying to do a full hike, Baldy Notch can be a really cool option for you. You can actually take the scenic chairlift up, which is an experience on its own, and once you're up there you get incredible views of the surrounding mountains. There's also a restaurant up there, so this is a great option if you want more of a relaxed day, but still want those alpine views. Now, on to the Devil's Backbone area. If you're looking for something a little more adventurous, the Devil's Backbone area is known for some pretty iconic views. It's also pretty well known as being a dangerous hike. You're going to hear a lot about this hike from different people, but my opinion on it is that this area is more exposed, and it can be windy, so it's not the best choice if you're uncomfortable with heights or narrow trails. Don't be discouraged, however, because even if you don't hike all the way to the summit, you can still explore the first part of the trail and still get some of those dramatic ridgeline views. The Devil's Backbone route to the summit is about 11 to 12 miles round trip, with around 4,000 feet of elevation gain, so this is definitely a hard hike. Now, if you're up for a bit of a drive, a really unique hike in the general area is the Bridge to Nowhere. This one is a full-day adventure. It involves multiple river crossings and ends at this massive bridge literally in the middle of nowhere. It's super fun, especially in warmer weather, but definitely come prepared to get your feet wet and bring plenty of water. The Bridge to Nowhere is about 10 miles round trip with roughly 1,500 feet of elevation gain, and I'd call it moderate. The distance is long, but the elevation is more gradual. The real challenge is the multiple river crossings, so just be ready for that. If you're itching to see a waterfall, the San Antonio Falls is a super good option for you. It's a super short hike, about half a mile to a mile round trip, depending on where you park, and it's easy, but it is a bit steep and uneven near the falls. One of the best parts of Mount Baldy is that you don't even need to do a big hike. There are tons of little pullouts, picnic areas, and short trails where you can just walk down to the creek, explore, and hang out. Not only does San Antonio Falls have a beautiful waterfall view, but it also has access to the creek. I would say this is probably the second most popular trail in the area, so be prepared for it to be crowded. If you want something a little quieter, I definitely recommend stopping at some of the pullouts before or after the main trailheads. Just be respectful of private property, stay on durable surfaces when you can, and pack out everything you bring in. And one thing to keep in mind, the water flow changes a lot depending on the time of year. In spring and early summer, the creek is usually flowing really nice from the snowmelt. But later in the season, especially in dry years, some areas might be more of a trickle. So again, this is where checking recent conditions really helps. And just use common sense around the water. Rocks can be slippery, currents can be stronger than they look in certain spots, and it's easy to lose your footing if you're not paying attention. So take it slow and wear good shoes. But honestly, Mount Baldy is one of those places where the best spots aren't always on the map. If you take your time driving up, stop when something catches your eye, and explore a little, you'll probably find your own perfect spot. Don't forget, after you've explored the trails and found your favorite river spot, that there's a charming little mountain town tucked away in the canyon that's definitely worth checking out. That town is Mount Baldy Village, and it has this really quiet, down-to-earth mountain feel that's completely different from everything down below. It's not big, it's not flashy, but that's kind of what makes it special. It feels like stepping into a slower pace. You've got cabins, trees, mountain views, and just that peaceful energy where people are hanging out, grabbing food, and taking their time. If you're looking for food, there are a couple solid spots. The Mount Baldy Lodge is probably the most well known. It's super cozy and it's a great place to sit down after being outside all day. And if you made your way up toward the lift earlier, Top of the Notch has one of the best views you'll get while eating. Definitely more of an experience than just a meal. Don't expect a ton of options or late night hours from either of these restaurants. Both places close earlier than you might think, especially during the week, so it's a good idea to plan ahead if you want to eat up there. There's also a visitor center in the village, but just a heads up, the hours are pretty limited and not always consistent. It's usually only open for a few hours on weekends, sometimes around late morning to early afternoon, and it's often closed on weekdays. So I wouldn't rely on it being open. Definitely plan ahead and have everything you need before you visit. So whether you're visiting for the hikes, the water, or just the mountain vibes, Mount Baldy has a lot more to offer than people expect. And if you plan it right, it can be such a fun and really relaxing day trip. If you're interested in staying at Maker Campground, I'm actually producing a video right now on that topic. I'll go over what it's like, what to expect, and tips for staying at that campground, including how to get the fire permit and what it means to be at a first come first serve campground. I'll link that here as soon as it's live, so definitely keep an eye out for that. If this video helped you plan your trip or gave you some new ideas, it would mean a lot if you gave it a like. It really helps the video reach more people. And if you're into exploring places like this, national parks, or any other hidden spots in the natural world, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. As always, thanks for watching. Remember to always have fun, stay safe, and never give up on your travel dreams.